with us in person this morning and those online. This is the Tuesday, April 4th, 2023 Weber County Board of Commissioners. I'm Commissioner Gage Froer. I'll be chairing this morning. With me, to my left is Commissioner Bolos. To my right is Commissioner Jim Harvey. We're going to start with a Pledge of Allegiance from Stacy Skeen. I will give the invocation, and then we'll go to Commissioner Bolos for Thought of the Day. Let's go to that point. Our dear Father in heaven, as we come before you on this great spring day, we give thanks for your many blessings, especially those of freedom and the right of self-determination we have in this country. We ask for your blessings, Father, today for those that serve in our military and our public safety personnel that put their lives at risk every day on their jobs as they serve these communities. Father, we ask that you be with us and guide us today so that the decisions that we make as a commission are made in the best interest of the community and this county. We also ask, Father, for your help that you may have those people in our community that we can join together and work together for a better future for all citizens in this county and state. And we say this prayer in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Commissioner Bolos.
Okay, here's my thought. By the way, having the thought of the day gives me a chance to go back through my family group me and see all the wise things I've shared with my kids. So thanks for that. President Lincoln was once criticized for his attitude toward his enemies. "Why do you try to make friends of them?" asked an associate. "You should try to destroy them." "Am I not destroying my enemies?" Lincoln gently replied, "when I make them my friends."
Like that. Yeah.
No commentary.
No commentary. No. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Okay, let's go to our agenda item, which talks about public comments. Anyone in the audience or online that would like to come before the commission at this point in time, now is the opportunity. Stacy, anyone online? Okay, I'm assuming everybody's kind of snowed in this morning. We can thank this good weather to our good Commissioner Harvey. Make sure that we have enough water to fill those reservoirs. I thank you most every day.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. We're honored today to have a great presentation by the Utah Department of Ag and Food program, and it's presented by Mr. Craig Butters, who is the State Commissioner of Agricultural. Craig goes a long ways back. He comes from the great area of Cache Valley and served in many capacities. So also, to his credit, or I guess recognition, he did serve in the legislature for a period of time, but we'll leave that up to the audience to decide. Craig, welcome. Time's yours.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got a few gifts we wanted to bring, and
Thank you.
just
Thank you very much. Wow.
want to express our appreciation for the opportunity to spend some time with you here today. Commissioner Bolos, I don't know that we've met yet, so it's good to meet with you today. So, just by way of background, what we're doing here is it's our intention to meet with every county commission and county council in the state to help county leaders understand the importance of agriculture in their specific county. And so what we've done is put together some data, and also we've got some updates on some things that happened at the legislature this year and some of the strategic plans and goals that we have as a department. The Department of Agriculture actually began in 1921 when the state legislature created the department. And so we just got done celebrating our 100th anniversary. Some of the things that we do, of course, we have stewardship over agriculture in the state. Inspections, regulations, consumer protection, rulemaking, loan assistance, pest and disease control, and marketing and economic development. Those are all things that we focus on at the department. The different divisions, we have 10 different divisions. The newest is our grazing improvement program, but that program has been under the conservation division and under the admin department in the past. Also, medical cannabis is a fairly new program that we've started about 3-4 years ago. And in addition to that, we've got my office or the office of the commissioner that we come from, the administrative services, animal industry, plant industry, conservation, and as I mentioned, marketing and economic development and regulatory services. So those are some of the things that we work on. And Kelly's going to talk a little bit about Kelly Pearson is our deputy commissioner, and he's going to cover some of our strategic goals right now.
Great, thank you, Craig.
Thanks for having us today. It's great to be up here in Weber County. I love county government. I started my government career as the San Juan County Administrator for 10 years and got to know Commissioner Harvey through UAC, so it's good to see you. This last summer, before right when Commissioner Butter started at the Department of Ag, we wanted to do a strategic plan of what the farmers or producers wanted us to focus on to help them be successful. So we did about 6 to 8 meetings throughout the state of Utah where we met with producers as well as other stakeholders just to see what they envisioned for agriculture in the future in each county or each region, each area of the state. And this helped us come up with a good strategic plan going forward. And some of the goals that this plan came up to help us focus on, one was what we call agristructure. More meat processing and food processing throughout the state. During COVID, everyone saw what happened with meat processing. And even today, after COVID, if you want to get your cattle harvested right now, you're a good year and a half out. And not many producers can continue to pay to feed that cow for a year and a half before it can be harvested. So we're looking at ways to help bring more processing online. We do have quite a few online. The challenges is obviously sewer and water infrastructure in cities. Not a lot of cities want processing in their neighborhoods, right? It smells. And so this last session, there was $9 million given to an agri-park that's going to be probably built down south of Nephi. And it's hopefully what it will do is help build the infrastructure that's needed for a big agriculture type building area to bring in more meat processing and any type of agribusinesses. So they're doing a feasibility study now to see if there's water and sewer in that area, and then that $9 million will help build the infrastructure so that we're shovel-ready zoning for this type of businesses. So we're excited about that. The other big issue is workforce development. The average age of a farmer is 65. Not a lot of young people are getting into farming, and there's not a lot of help for the farmers. They rely on a lot of immigration visa type workers, and that's getting more expensive as well. They're called H-2A employees, and they want to increase that 176% in the next year. So it's hard for these farms to find good help. So we're working on ways to encourage young people to get into farming and want to stay in farming. Utah State this last session got funding for a vet school, and so we're excited about that. And this session, we got money for those that want to become a vet. If they work in rural areas, they can get up to $100,000 of their loan repayment done if they work in a rural area for 5 years. So we're excited about it. So encourage your kids and grandkids to be vets and go to Utah State, because we're excited about that program. Supply chain issues, again, during COVID, it was scary to go to your grocery store and see it empty, right? So we don't want that to happen again. And so we're trying to encourage a lot of more local people to buy local food, and finding better ways for the local producers to sell their food to local people as well through farmers markets and things like that. And then the big one, ag land preservation. You've seen it here in Weber County, how quick ag land disappears. The last crop that's being grown is homes. We have, and we'll talk about it later, some funding that we got to help preserve ag land and give producers an option to keep their land in ag land forever. So we'll talk about that going forward. So I've talked about most of these, so we'll skip through it. So the last one, customer service. You know, as Commissioner Butters has brought a great leadership to the department, and we want to make sure that we provide the best customer service to our producers. We don't want to overregulate them. We want to be a partner with them. So if you hear anything of us not being a good partner with our producers throughout the state, please let us know. We want to find ways to make this a successful business and keep that legacy going. So we want to make sure we are on the top of our game with customer service.
So some of the benefits of agriculture in Utah, and I think most of you're probably aware of these, but I'll just cover them quickly. Of course, ag provides food, fiber, and animal feed for all of the citizens of the state. We also do some export. Agriculture strengthens our local food security, as we've mentioned, creates rural jobs, and you know, I know you still have some rural areas here in the county, but it creates jobs for not only those producers that grow the commodities, but also a lot of young people work on farms in these areas. Conservation and open space preservation, large economic driver that agriculture is in all the state, throughout the state. And it also provides water and resources for wildlife. Our irrigation systems, our lakes, our streams, our canals can provide a water resource for wildlife. So at a glance, this first slide here needs to be changed, but that 49,000, I'm sure you understand that market value for ag products in Weber County is much more than that, but this should read 49,443,000. There are 1,260 farms in Weber County, 94,361 acres of farmland. The average farm size is 75 acres, and we see that's going down all the time as we see land subdivided and smaller farms created, 5, 10, 20 acre farms. That average farm size goes down all the time, but we hope to keep the irrigated acres about the same, and that continues to go down also. But 97% of farms in Weber County are family owned. And one thing that I would like to point out, Kelly and I just got back from Israel with a group from Utah that we're looking at their irrigation technologies and things that they're doing to make better use of their irrigation water. And one thing that we noticed is that in Israel, they build homes on the hills. They save their good farm ground for agriculture production. I think that's one thing that we've made a big mistake in the state is not pushing more of our development to those areas that can't be actively farmed. And so I just encourage you as a commission, when you have a chance or when you get the opportunity to preserve agricultural land, do what you can there. So you're about 50-50 split with crops and livestock production as far as the type of agriculture. As far as your ranking in the state, you're second for woody crops, second for vegetables, melons, potatoes, and sweet potatoes. I didn't know you grew sweet potatoes here. This is all USDA and National Agricultural Statistics Service data. Also, fourth in the state for horses, ponies, mules, burros, donkeys, and fifth in the state for fruits, tree nuts, and berries. And as far as, let's see, in addition to that, milk from cows, seventh in the state, seventh for total crops, and 11th for total marketing value of ag products sold. So just a little bit of interesting information there. I'd like to talk just for a moment. I'm not sure how much time we have on your agenda, but I'd
You're
like
good to go.
Okay, thanks. I'd like to talk just for a moment on, we're going to talk about some of the recent things that have come out of the legislature.
So 2 sessions ago, we got $1 million for food processing grant. So it was a pilot program, and what it does is allow any food and meat processor or vegetable processor, if they need new equipment, need to add on to their buildings, anything to help them do more processing, they can apply for this grant. It was just $1 million. It was no cap. It was a 50-50 match. But however, we got 71 applications for about $14 million in requests. So that tells you the need throughout the state. We asked for quite a bit more this session, but we did get another $1 million. So please help share the word. Again, we have $1 million. Application period will be from May 1st to the end of May, and then we will rank them come June 1st, and then fund it July 1st of this year. And you can see on the map kind of the way we spread out that last $1 million, and we felt like it was a great program, and we're going to keep hopefully doing that going forward to help people process and have more food security here in the state of Utah. We're hopefully going to show you a video if we can get it to work. This is always the trick.
Whenever you're ready to play it, I think it'll work.
Last time it started without us downloading, so I don't know. Just kind of started going. Let's give it a minute. You could probably talk about water optimization, why that's downloading, Commissioner.
Okay.
Looks like that's downloading, so.
Is that, okay. You know, it seems like it never fails. You know, you do
We know that.
2 or 3 different options, and we're still waiting. But the water optimization program, you may be familiar with that. It's a last 2022 session. We got $70 million to put towards water optimization, and what this does is gives money. It's a 50-50 grant that goes to farmers and ranchers who are looking to improve their irrigation systems, either through maybe a canal lining or piping a canal, or going from flood irrigation to sprinkler irrigation. And so even subsurface drip irrigation is something we're looking at now to save water. And that's one thing we saw in Israel a lot of. They don't sprinkle any crop other than sometimes they'll sprinkle a wheat crop or a potato crop. Other than that, it's all subsurface drip irrigation. And they have thousands and thousands of acres under drip irrigation. So the water optimization program, this last legislative session, we got another $200,000.
Extremely hard taskmaster. The hardest boss that anybody could ever have, because there's no mercy. Probably half of my time is spent trying to use the water as efficiently as possible. You lose a few $100,000 year after year, you know, it's a tough go.
We've had more dry years than we've had wet years, and I think that's become the norm.
The land is drier, the rangeland is drier, springs that we could usually count on being there are drying up. So it's a scary time.
The department right now is in the process of working through our agricultural water optimization program. And this is a way that we can help farmers and ranchers use their water more efficiently. If the opportunity is presented, farmers and ranchers want to do better with the resources that they have.
They're reaching out to producers, they're reaching out to other individuals saying, hey, look, here's what we're up against, here's what we're facing. How can we overcome this? The Department of Ag is always there backing you up.
Change and conservation and best practices are changing and evolving, and I am very willing to evolve with them. With the help of UDAF and NRCS, we've been able to adapt those practices more quickly.
With the limited availability of water, by increasing the efficiency, even on these drought years, we may be able to farm nearly all of our acres. And so without some help from the state, I wouldn't be able to do this.
No one knows better than us the finite resources that we have here. So I don't think there's anyone that could care more about the land and its health and the balance than the people that are living on it and working on it. It's the lifeblood. We all understand that water is our lifeblood. We do our best to conserve it and to use it wisely, because without it, we're nothing.
I think that's a pretty good visual representation of what the water optimization program does. So we're excited to have that funding and looking forward to working with producers on the next round of funding, which is going to open here in about 2 weeks for this spring round of funding. The next program that we have is something that we got a $500,000 grant from the federal government to work with farmers and ranchers who are experiencing stress because of, whatever they're experiencing in their operation or in their personal lives. So right now we have free mental health care. We have a voucher that we can give to agriculture producers for up to $2,000 of assistance, medical or mental health assistance through Intermountain Health Care. So we appreciate them, and we're also training producers on how to help other community members, and we're training the 988 crisis line responders statewide. And this is a program that we're working with Utah State University Extension on. Next we've got another video here.
Let that down and talk about it.
Kelly's going to talk about the Lee Ray McAllister Critical Farm and Ranch Fund.
So the Lee Ray McAllister Fund has been with the state for, since like 1992, somewhere in that area. So what it was a way to do conservation easements throughout the state. And let me make sure that's downloaded. Last session, they moved the Lee Ray McAllister Fund to the Department of Agriculture and called it the Lee Ray McAllister Working Farm and Ranch Fund. Say that 5 times. But anyway, what it is it allows, and we'll have a video that really explains it really good, it allows for farmers to sell their development rights and put their farm into a conservation easement, which will be held by the Department of Agriculture. So work with an appraiser, they'll come up with a value, and with state, private, federal funds, they'll buy that easement, and they'll keep ownership of the land, but it will always stay ag land forever. We saw this done up in Heber Valley, with Heber Valley Cheese. They were able to put their whole, I don't know how many hundreds of acres into an easement, so that could never be developed. It's getting close. This session we got $3 million for this program, and also 3 full-time employees to help administer this program. And we'll use that money to match quite a bit of federal funds. So we're excited about this program. And just with coming up with a video and sharing the video, you'd be amazed at how many people would love to keep their land for their kids and grandkids. But they need some capital, and this helps provide some capital to be able to improve their farms and to keep it within their families.
one of our employees has a family farm that's out in West Weaver, and he talked to me about how he would really like to keep that farm in the family, keep it a productive farm, but he didn't know how he was going to do it because, it seems like those farms usually or oftentimes get split up between family members, and so there's several owners of the original farm homestead. And so I talked to him about this program, and he expressed a lot of interest, and I think we're seeing that throughout the state. People, as they see the development that's going on, especially near our urban areas, people want to do something about it. They want to help out. And those that still own farm ground, I think they really want to see something happen that way. So I think we're at 92%. So
and it's stuck.
It's stuck. Okay. Well, should we bypass that one?
Oh, there it goes.
There you go. Now you're moving.
Power through.
The preservation of ag land is very important. As we go and look at the acreage that is being developed right now, much of it is acreage that I never thought I would see developed in my lifetime. A lot of farmers go out there and they talk about the development, and they say, those houses are the last crop that is ever going to be planted out there on that property.
When you have a place that has importance like this, you kind of want to have it last, and conservation easements are the way to do it.
Conservation easement is essentially an agreement between a private landowner and a nonprofit or a state or a federal agency to limit the amount of development that takes place on a piece of property. Essentially what you're doing is you are purchasing the right to develop on that piece of property.
Working with the state and with the Nature Conservancy with our easement, we're really helping to protect a massive area of land that's critical for winter range, for migratory corridors, and it's really a special thing to know, my kid can come back after I'm gone and be like, oh wow, this is still the same. It still looks the same.
There isn't an inch on either side that I haven't gathered the rock up, turned over the soil, so instead of being an investment, it now becomes part of my soul.
The protection of land utilized for agricultural production is one of the major goals that we have at the Department of Agriculture and Food. And if we go in and preserve that land and we utilize it for the production of food and for other resources, we become sustainable as a state.
Deciding to do a conservation easement on our ground was kind of a tough decision. I mean, we looked at it, and the money situation is very different from whether you sell your ground or whether you put it into a conservation easement. And at the end of the day, we had to kind of look ourselves in the mirror and say, what's more important, our heritage, who we are, what we love doing, or money? And ultimately we decided that, it was worth the sacrifice to give up a little bit to be able to have the opportunity to do what we love.
Even people in the community, as they come, they know now that this property is going to remain open, that it will never be built on, and what a great legacy to leave our community.
I want to talk about one bill specifically that affects Weber County. So House Bill 371. So what it is when a developer buys ag land and has to pay back the rollback taxes, you're now required to take 20% of that and use it for a conservation easement. And I don't know if your county's set up to do conservation easements now, but we would love for you to work with us. Let us use that money to match with our money, and we'll help you match it with federal funds as well. So that's something that will start July 1st. So 20% of your rollback taxes now, and that easement has to be within your county. We can't take that money and go do an easement in Salt Lake. So we're excited that it will stay within your counties where the rollback taxes were being paid. So We are in the process of hiring a new program manager for the Lee Ray McAllister. Once we have that manager, we'll have them work with your counties and find ways to use that money and match it and get more money and do easements within your county. So, takeaways.
Okay. So once again, we appreciate your time and we don't want to go on much longer, but we just want to kind of highlight the takeaways here today. Is agriculture is important, and it's essential to protecting the local food supply, and not only our food supply, but the ambiance, I don't know how to say it, of the scenery, the landscape, all those things that are so important to Utahns. Consider how your community can find ways to help agriculture remain viable. The impact of the decisions that you make can make a difference. Encourage municipalities to adopt agricultural-friendly zoning ordinances, and we're here to help however we can. Another bill that went through this last session was Senate Bill 76, which would have the Department of Agriculture provide assistance to counties with their zoning ordinances, their planning, and so we have hired an individual to do that, to work with counties so we can assist you, and I believe that the bill actually requires counties to be involved and get some assistance from the state, and so we hope that will actually be that will be assistance for the counties. And so once again, thank you, and if you have any questions, we're happy to answer any.
Thank you, Craig. I'm sure we've got a couple questions. Commissioner Harvey, any questions?
Sure. I do, actually.
I've been writing some down.
And this is probably, I'll have Commissioner Frohr or Commissioner Bolo speak to this. We have been participating in conservation easement and land preservation within this county, and you can speak to that up around the monastery. I'm quite concerned. I'm glad that you're putting some focus on meat production. The 5, as you know, Craig, especially you up there with Miller, the 5 largest beef production outfits in the United States are all foreign owned. That's why, and the margins, haven't increased that much for us, the local guys producing. It's all going to the middle guys, and that's a big concern for me. I'd love to see more packers and make it easier for production folks. It's really tough for us to, excuse me, to have meat production, as it is everywhere. The dates I've got, I'm always 9, 10, 13 months out, and it's almost impossible to get anything in the fall, any month. So when my last question, that's so I'd like you to address that, but also you talked about these grants where folks are being able to go back as long as it's a rural community. What's the definition of rural community? Is that by statute? Is that in anything that you have here? Because you're right, we do have a little rural and urban, but what is the definition of rural as it states now currently in Utah law?
I don't know that there is a definition. With this one bill 371 that we were talking about, the counties that have to put aside 20% of the green belt, if they're more than 50% publicly owned, they do not have to do that. So there's, in statute, there's oftentimes different designations as far as class of county and different things like that. So I think that mostly you're going to see your 3rd to 6th class counties considered rural.
Yeah.
But each county, other than maybe your Salt Lake County, would have some rural aspect to it.
Well, and I think, and I guess that's due with all Class 2 counties. I mean, I'm thinking Utah, Davis is almost out.
Yeah.
But between Utah, Washington still got some, and Weber here is a Class 2. We still have some rural areas, and so I don't want to be, I'd hate to be, because we're a Class 2 county, just giving way to the rest, and that program wouldn't be available for.
Yeah. I think that this rollback tax and 20% there, I think that's mostly focused on your second, third-class counties, maybe fourth-class, because that's where most of the pressure is right now.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bolos, anything?
Yeah, just wondering if you could send that presentation to us along with the links for the applications. I think that would be great for us to communicate to our farmers here in Weber County as to how to apply for the grants and work through some of these opportunities.
Is it just to your individual emails? Is that the best way?
That'd be great.
Okay.
I'd love to communicate what we just
Yeah.
heard with our farmers here so that they know the opportunities that they have.
We'll send it all.
That's a great idea, and we'll implement that for all the counties we visit. You're the second county. We were in Wayne County yesterday. We're not working from the bottom up. I mean, from the alphabetic bottom up, but that's just the way it worked out. But yeah, we'll get this information to you along with the links for the applications for these things and the
Let's-
contact information.
And that's great. Appreciate your presentation. I think we're very proud we embrace our agricultural community here in Weber County, as you probably know, Craig, and we think it's a very valuable part of our history and our future. I'm glad to see SB 371. I have a question for you, and of course I funded Luray McAllister Fund substantially when I was in the legislature. I'm happy to see it went to the Department of Ag. So
Yeah.
I think that's a better place than where it was before. It makes more sense, especially if you're directed toward conservation easements. But so with our 20% that we put in through rollback taxes, we combine that with some state funds, Department of Ag, and I'm assuming some type of federal funds.
Yes.
Do we have the ability to encourage people? I mean, where do those applications come from? Who basically makes a determination? You mentioned that 20% will stay in Weber, but where does that application for Luray McAllister, the McAllister funds, start and end?
Well, that would just start through our conservation division.
Okay.
And so, and then, through that process, the staff that we have can help the applicant also apply for the federal funding through Natural Resource Conservation Service or, with the county. If you have a specific employee here in the county that oversees that program, we would like to see a partnership there so that we're all coordinating and working together.
Yeah, I guess that's my question. Do we have the ability to really add input to that decision, or we just contribute the 20% and then you guys decide where it goes?
I think you would definitely have some input. Each county actually has to buy off on the Luray McAllister projects.
Right.
So if there's an application for a project, it actually comes to the
Okay.
county for
Good.
approval.
We like that.
And then each county drafts a letter of support.
Yeah, we like that. And last question is, I don't know if you're aware, but we created a weed board here in Weber County 2 years ago. It actually has some teeth in it at this point in time. Does the Department of Ag have any resources for a weed board to basically we start off with education rather than enforcement. We want to try to train people that Roundup may be not the only pesticide or chemical to go to.
Yeah.
So is there resources that we could have available that we could pass out in the community? We've started our own program, but we could sure use a little help.
I know that the state, through our Plant Industry Division, does have the resources available there. As a county administrator there in Cache County, we had a weed board that has been functioning for quite a while, and we relied on the state for a lot of those things, a lot of information, and I know they put together conferences and things that they can train your board members.
I will add the contact info of the individual at the plant that can help you.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
If you send that to me, then Stacy over here actually kind of runs that board, so
Okay.
we'll, and we've actually learned a lot. We've relied upon Cache County to come down and 2 years ago to really tell us how to set this up, so.
I'm glad they could help out because Jake up there does a great job.
They do good.
But this is from previous leadership, really well run up there.
I don't know about that. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Thanks. Any additional questions? Thanks for being here.
See you.
Appreciate you. Great presentation. Okay, commissioners. It looks like we're now to our consent items on the agenda, G1 through 11 this morning. So let's start with Consent items 1, request for approval of warrants 7665 through 7691, and number 475, 453 through 475, 594, and 256 through 258 in the amount of $1,813,959.42. 2, request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $127,540.66. And Ricky is not with us, so we'll go with Mr. Lynn. Summary of warrants and purchase orders. Lynn.
Thank you, Commissioner. We had 14 purchase orders totaling $128,000. The largest of these, 28% or $36,000, went to the transfer station for skid pad updates, vehicle repairs, and fuel. 24% or $31,000 to the jail for mobile kitchen rental. 18% or $23,000 to the library for relocation of exterior sculpture and summer reading programming supplies. And 16% or $20,000 to roads for snowplow blades and equipment rental. We had 172 warrants totaling $1.8 million. Largest of these were 24% or $440,000 were ARPA funds for Uinta City. 13% or $232,000 were ramp awards to multiple entities. And 12% or $214,000 to Weber Human Services as a monthly contribution, and everything else was less than 10%.
Thank you. Lynn, questions, commissioners, on any of those items? Seeing none, let's go to G4, request for approval of minutes for the meeting held on March 28th, 2023. Consent item 5, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Weber School District for the Mesa Day event to be held at the Golden Spike Event Center. 6, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the Spikers Rodeo Team for the 2023 Spikers High School Rodeo to be held at the Golden Spike Event Center. 7, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the Utah Quarter Horse Racing Association for races to be held at the Golden Spike Event Center. 8, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Rocky Mountain Barrel Racing Association to hold the Dash for Dollars barrel race held at the Golden Spike Event Center. 9, request for approval of the contract by and between Weber County and the Utah Gay Rodeo Association to hold the Crossroads of the West Regional Rodeo at the Golden Spike Event Center. 10, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the Dominion Energy Utah to make Dominion Energy become the service provider for the Sheriff's Complex. 11, request for approval of an updated operating plan to the Cooperative Law Enforcement Agreement between Weber County and the Uinta-Wasatch Cache National Forest. That's our consent items, Commissioner. Looks like the Golden Spike Event Center is going to be busy. With that, questions or comments? Or I'd entertain a motion.
So just so you know, Commissioners, the items that are placed today on the consent items, while it's on the consent calendar and not under action, they don't fall under our formal rate. There's usually something here or there just a little bit different to secure that business. And Marty, Jennifer, and Duncan are all participating in an IAAM meeting, an International Association of Auditorium Managers meeting out of town and couldn't be here. But they've reviewed all those. I've got confidence in their ability in their recommendations, and many of them are just a small adjustment to this, that, or the other to make the event pencil for the county and for the producer amongst everything that's going on. So I'd make a recommendation with that unless there's any other comments, Mr. Chair.
I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the consent items is presented, item G, 1 through including 11.
Second.
Thank you. We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Consent items are approved as presented. Let's now go to our only action item H1, request for approval of a resolution 24-2023 of the Board of Commissioners of the Weber County appointing a trustee to the governing board of the Little Mountain Service Area, known as LMSA, which is the sewer district out west. Presenter would be Ms. Stacy Skeen. Stacy, go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Here to present the midterm vacancy on the Little Mountain Service Area Board created by the passing of Randy Marriott. I did receive 4 applications that you have before you. They're all qualified to serve, and this person would fulfill the remainder of the term through December 31st, 2026.
2026.
Yes.
And this is basically a replacement for a previous board member?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So it's not a new appointment, it's the opening created?
Yeah, just to fill that midterm
Got it.
vacancy created by.
Okay, Commissioners, you've reviewed the applications. I'd entertain any discussion or motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 24-2023, appointing Craig Jackson, the trustee to the governing board of the Little Mountain Service Area.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and
Second.
a second. Any discussion to that motion? Seeing none, Lynn, do you want to make a roll call vote?
Yes, roll call vote for Resolution 24-2023. Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Bolos?
Aye.
Chair Froer?
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you very much. With that, Commissioners, our action items are complete. Now brings us to Commissioner comments. And we have ample time to hear comments as presented. Commissioner Bolos, anything?
The only thing I have to say, and no one is here who needs to hear this because they're all plowing roads, but man, my hat goes off to those snowplow drivers and their maintenance teams behind them who keep those trucks running. They have had an enormous amount of work this winter, and they're doing a great job. It's a lot of time away from their families outside of their normal work day, so I appreciate that.
Well, I'll second that.
Agreed.
Commissioner Harvey?
No, it's well said. They're just awesome. And if for those who are still waiting for some form of service, just be patient. The equipment, the guys are tired, the equipment's tired, and they're doing everything they can, including working multiple 16 to 20-hour days consecutively, day after day after day after day after day. So.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been an unusual winter, to say the least. And we've all received a number of calls from those people that have had some inconvenience, and we recognize the inconvenience because of the snow. But again, our road crews have done an amazing job. And when we hear those issues that people may have had to go a day or two because of equipment failures or because of schedules, again, we just encourage those people that have those situations to be patient. Understand that our folks are taking their job very seriously, and we'll get to them as quickly as we can. But we have a limited amount of staff, and we have a huge amount of snow to go plow and roads to maintain. So that's life, as a previous commissioner would say.
Yeah, look, that's life. That's
life.
right.
All right, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn, commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.